How many of you have children who just seem bored or disengaged with their learning? I certainly did. If you can relate to that, post a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are about that. Or are you frustrated with your child's curriculum? Again, at certain times, I definitely was. Post a comment if that's you. Do you need a spark in your homeschool environment? Who doesn't? If that's you, you're going to love today's topic. We're going to be talking about discover your children's strengths, spark their engagement. My name is Diana Rolston, and I want to welcome you to Spark Homeschool Parent. Each week, we will bring you strategies to ignite the spark that engages your child's learning. And welcome especially, this is my first Facebook Live, first of many. And this month, we are focusing on the S in Spark, strengths. We're going to, as I said, today we're going to be learning about discovering your child's strengths and how that can ignite their engagement. We'll explore that a little bit more throughout this month of October. In November, we'll focus on P, purpose. What is your purpose? It's a very important thing to get to know. Why are you on this journey to homeschool? It's also an important thing for your children to know because that has a huge impact on their attitude. And attitude is the A in Spark. And so for that third month, we'll be focusing on attitude. And then we move on to the R. We always need a time for reflection, and that'll be a time for us to reflect what we've learned, where we've come from, and that leads perfectly into our K, keep the faith. Once you've got started, what comes next? Keep on going. For those in that K month, we're going to be talking, for those that are just starting to homeschool, we're going to be talking about elementary, homeschooling your children who are at that early ages, and then we're going to also talk about those middle school ages onto high school, and then what's next after this homeschool journey and after homeschool graduation. So that is in the K month. So welcome. I want to welcome everybody. There's some of you out there who have just started homeschooling, maybe the beginning of a long journey. You get a special welcome. Some of you have been homeschooling for a few years now, and you're just looking, there's always things to learn. You're just looking for some other tips and ideas to just put that spark into your homeschool environment. So you definitely are welcome also. And then there are some of you who maybe you're just, this is your COVID homeschooling. Crazy time for you, and very important that you're not alone in this journey because it is not easy for any of us. And definitely not easy when we're alone. So you are all welcome. This is a community where we will share ideas, and strategies to ignite the spark that engages your children's learning. This conversation is for you. If you're not excited about your children's curriculum, it doesn't suit you, it doesn't suit your child, maybe there's just one or two subjects that are going awesome, which is amazing, but maybe there's just a few things in there you're not sure why your children are learning them. It's definitely not something that they're excited about, and frankly maybe you're not excited about either. This conversation is for you. This conversation is definitely for you if you have children who seem bored and disengaged with what they're learning, and at some point I can almost guarantee that you're going to have children at that stage, so that this conversation is definitely for you. Again, as you're joining us, post a comment. Let me know where you're posting from, and I assume I can see your name when you post, but welcome. Yeah. Also, if you are homeschooling, no doubt you have one, two, probably many, many more friends who really could benefit from a Facebook Live like this, from a group like this. So please share our posts, direct them to Spark Homeschool Parent. They will be very thankful, and I appreciate it also. So again, this conversation is for you. If you are looking for tips, strategies, new ideas to encourage your children's engagement in their learning. I don't know if I mentioned, today we're talking about discover your children's strengths, spark their engagement. I have 3 boys who have graduated from homeschool now. They're all young adults and out working. And when we first started homeschooling, it was fun. It was great fun. We enjoy being outside hiking and biking and taking advantage of all the trails in the area. We're in Ottawa, so there's lots and lots of museums around here too. And we took full advantage of field trips and outings, and homeschooling was fun. At that time, there were a lot of hands-on when the children are young, a lot of hands-on activities which really suited us well. And my children were thriving. Like I said, we were fun. It was fun, and children were learning. What else can we ask for? And then things change. Things change around the time that our children are 10, 11, 12, 13. For some, it's a little bit earlier. For some, it's a little bit later. At that point, school just starts to seem a little more serious. People started asking me why I was homeschooling, asking what the boys were learning. And much of it was just my perception of feeling judged, whether I was or wasn't. But that came with it a weight that stuck with me for a long time, and it was heavy. Homeschooling is a huge responsibility, and I really felt I was up for the task. But when I started hearing questions from different people, that weight was heavy. To a point where there was a short time where I knew that homeschooling was the best thing for my children, but I started questioning it and wondering maybe the boys would be going back to school. Anyway, we stuck with it, but at that time, I stood back. I just needed a little bit of a break, and I needed to find my direction again. So for a short time, I stood back, and I used that time to study my children, to watch and observe. And one thing that I know, there were a lot of annoying behaviors. How many of you notice really annoying behaviors with your children? For one, I found these around the house, broken pencils. Not because my children were destructive. I originally thought that they were destructive. But when I took this time to really observe, that pencil, those many broken pencils, showed me the fact that my children actually are very curious. How do they get that lead inside the pencil? What does the inside of a pencil look like? How is it made? So many questions. Another thing that I found around the house when I went around and really took the time to look were lots and lots of things that were taken apart. Never could I find a pen that was in one piece that I could actually use. This one has long since lost its spring, so I never will be able to use it again, but springs are fascinating. The thing that I learned was that my children had curiosity. They had questions, and they wanted them answered. And what is school for? That's what I started thinking. We want our children to have curiosity. It was around that time that we're in just outside of the city, so longer driveways and country roads, and one of our neighbors had a toilet out on their driveway. My boys were really curious. They thought a toilet, it must have a pump. They wanted to get their hands on that pump. So I'm not proud. I went out and we got that toilet into the back of my car, and If it was going to be gone in a week, they were welcome to have it. Take it apart, do whatever you want with it. Learn, did you know that toilets don't have pumps? They learned that, and they learned many things just observing and taking that toilet apart. But it wasn't long after that that one of the neighbors had a lawn tractor at the end of their driveway, free, the best kind. For my husband and I, free means broken down, dilapidated, ready for the garbage. That's why it's out there. But my kids were so excited. We were all headed out. And when we said, okay, if that lawn tractor is still there on our drive back, an hour and a half, you could bring it home. We're not bringing it home. You can push it home. It stays in our driveway for a month. If it's still not working, goes out to the curb. Did you know, so that lawn tractor was there and they pushed it back and they were so excited. Did you know that there was a lot to learn with a broken down lawn tractor? There's steering and gears and electrical, the battery, the ignition switch, the lights, the starter motor, solenoids, magnets, gas engine, carburetor, spark plugs, pistons. They spent days, hours upon hours learning about all those things. You can't find the study of electricity and electronics in, at that time, I think they were in grade 4. You can't find that in a grade 4 curriculum textbook. Or if you do, it's not what they wanted to learn about the electrical components of this lawn tractor. And gas motors, is that ever in our curriculum? Probably, but I'm not sure where you would find that. But they, with a little bit of a small investment from me for a carburetor cleaner, spark plug, they tinkered around for hours, days. That lawn tractor started running. It was amazing. That was their go-kart for the next year and a half. And then after that, they had moved on. It was time to sell it. They sold it for $300. And then we got to learn about advertising and income and expenses and all that exciting stuff. Maybe you don't have a child who is curious like that and breaking things and putting things back together. Maybe you have a child who you hear this day after day, who's like drumming. Maybe there's something to that. Take a look at that. I'm not going to say what it is because every child is different, but pay attention to that. Maybe it's, although it may seem annoying, start looking at it from a different angle. Maybe you have a child whose feet are always moving. What's up with that? Notice those things. We're not trying to tell our children to stop dancing, to stop making music, to stop exploring. Notice those things. They're no longer annoyances when our mindset has changed. They're learning opportunities. Opportunities to learn more about music. Opportunities to dance, to learn more about dance. Maybe you have a child who just wants to read. That can be annoying sometimes too. But that, in our homeschool environment, is a fantastic opportunity. What is your child interested in reading? Those are the kinds of things that you're going to be exploring. Standing back, observing. And when your mindset has changed about that, they're no longer annoying activities. They're opportunities. Opportunities to engage our children in learning what they really want to learn about. We're learning about their strengths, their interests, and that becomes the core curriculum that you're going to be using. We're going to be exploring that more and more over the coming weeks and months, because that is when my homeschool environment became so much more exciting for me and for my children, and I could just begin to see their strengths blossom. Now, many, many years later, when I see my children out in the real world, at their jobs, I can trace back those curiosities, those interests, those strengths that they had when they were very young into the things that they love now. And they're all working at jobs that they really, really enjoy. And I hope that for you too. Yes, so what you'll be doing this week: observe, stand back, engage in conversations with your children. What are they curious about? A lot of these things you will notice with a critical eye, not a judgmental eye, but with openness. What are your children curious about? And it just legitimizes those strengths and interests when you engage with them in those conversations. What do they want to learn? My children, let me tell you, were so engaged when they were learning about gears and gear ratios and making calculations and mixing. I don't know if they had to mix oil and gas, but in other gas engines that they were working on, they had to do that. But when they were learning about pistons and the ignition switches and how do we get these lights to work, they were so engaged. Whereas before, I would say that they could do that at the end of our school day. This now became their school. That's what you're going to be, and that's what you're going to be doing, is what do your children want to learn? What would truly engage them? Also, maybe this is an opportunity for you to change direction in your homeschool environment. For you homeschoolers that have been having your children at home, educating them at home for many years, is this the opportunity that you're looking for to change, make a few small changes, maybe big changes in the direction to just ignite that engagement with your children? Thanks for sticking around. This is Spark Homeschool Parent. And our commitment is to equip you with the skills and the mindset to navigate through this ever-changing homeschool journey. And let me tell you, it does change. You think you're on track now and things are great, but children are ever growing and changing. Just be ready to make those changes also. And this is a great place to do that. If you're looking for a community of encouragement on this homeschool journey, join us at Spark Homeschool Parent Facebook group, which is set up now. This live will be there, and I'll be here every Friday at 1 p.m. for Facebook Lives. Next week, we're going to be talking about overcoming resistance, reigniting the spark. Also, remember to like and subscribe. That's what we always ask for. And as a homeschool parent, you can be the spark that ignites your child learning. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again next week.